Welcome back to Eagles and Birdies. Meet the designer. We have a special guest, the star of Between Two Biomes with us, Mr. Mashie. So welcome.
Thank you. I don't think I would be a special guest. There's been some much better designers on your show than me. With you've had Tech and Pac-Man and those guys. So, but thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, um, talk to us about Mashie. That's what we always start these with. So where does Mashie come from? And then what's your real name?
Yeah, so real name is Jason Mashie. I have been doing online whatever, gaming, whatever, way back in the day. I mean, I remember buying my first 14.4 modem and doing dial-up and bulletin boards and things like that back in the day. My brother, my brother's 4 years younger, and he lived with a bunch of after high school, a bunch of guys that all went to college together. They're high school friends, and we all kind of knew each other, but they lived in a house together, and they used to call it the Ware's house. If you go back to the days of bulletin boards and pirate software, and they were a bunch of kids in your grandma's basement kind of thing.
Yeah, right,
And
exactly.
and so we all had online personas back in that day because he never did anything. And I actually selected Mashie way back then because it was one of the first original three golf clubs. There was the Mashie, the Niblick, and the Spoon were the first three golf clubs. I was told back in the day that those were the original three when they first started the game. And so I picked Mashie, and even back then I was kind of big into golf. I sucked. Hopefully I suck a little less now than I did back then. But so that's where Mashie came from, and it has stuck. I have used it um as the same online persona for, oh my God, probably 25 years,
Okay.
20
Yeah,
years. Yeah.
that's great. Like an actual handle that is golf related in the GS Pro world.
Yeah.
So there's not
Yeah.
many of us, right? You could have
Yeah.
did like JL or something, or
Nah.
yeah,
Nah.
I
I've
like
had it
it.
before. I've been into golf before that. And yeah, and so it's stuck. And I have and I won't say what it is because it doesn't matter, but I have a second online persona name. I don't use it in GS Pro or anything like that, but I use it
Steve.
if I go, well, if I Steve, no, I'm not Steve. Steve is Steve. I'm not Steve. I promise. But when I go in and play a game, I do a lot of online gaming with friends. I've got a Thursday night league where we play a lot of Destiny and stuff like that, first person shooter type games. So I've got a group we've been playing for 10 years. We all work together. And so I do a lot
Okay.
of online. And when I do games and the name Mashie is not available, I have an alternate one that I use that ironically came from another long term. I used to be really big playing EverQuest back in the day, and Mashie was already used. And so I just used the random name generator in that to create some random name, and I use that as a second persona when and if. So, but I've never used it on Discord. I've never used
Okay.
it in GS Pro. Mashie is everything there.
Well, you've got a new alternative, Bashy, if you'd
Yeah,
like. So
I saw that. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for the thanks to the oh my God, I forgot what you guys called yourselves. What was
two
that? It was
bros.
two
Between
bros,
two between two
between two
bros.
bros, between two. And I was thinking plastered bastard. By the way, I can't say that, and I can't think of that without thinking of the epic Mike Myers character, Fat Bastard
Yeah,
so
yeah.
every time I hear plastered bastard, I keep thinking of Fat Bastard, and then I put Master Blaster in that, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't unsee it. And I haven't told him that yet, so if he watches this, or when he watches this, he's gonna be like, oh my God, you think I'm Fat Bastard?
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. And you're from Colorado, right?
Yeah, not from here. We lived here for 20 plus years, so it's home. We're not going anywhere. I'm not born or raised here, but been here for long enough that yeah, it's home. And like my kids were born here, and jobs are here. Wife's job is here. Everything. So yeah, we're not going anywhere anytime soon.
I'm headed out there in November, so maybe I'll hit you up, and it
But
will be snowy, I'm sure. So we'll probably have to do some indoor sim golf. But
you may be surprised. We tend to play golf. The hardcore of us tend to play golf here year round.
okay,
We generally don't get snow on the ground year round here. The mountains get all the snow, and the mountains do really weird things with our weather where a lot of times the mountains will capture the storm.
Okay.
And it will be in November. It will. I mean, my buddy and I played not last year, but the year before. We played on Valentine's Day. It was the 5th year in a row we played on Valentine's Day. It was 65 degrees.
Well, all right.
So yeah, there is a chance.
There's
Just
a
depends on how
chance.
the yeah. There's a chance for sure.
Nice. So talk to us a little bit. How do you got into GS Pro and decided
Yeah.
to build some courses?
So I again, I think the whole thing, my buddy will tell you, it goes back to my a combination of my I've been in technology for work my entire career after college. I mean, before I graduated college, I was hired as an intern at a company that became Dell. And so I've spent my entire life in technology. So we have all the latest and greatest here, right? And
Yep.
then you combine that with my history of online gaming in general. Right? I've always been a gamer of one form or another. I've always had a gaming PC, whether it be online or local. Or I mean, we used to run a Quake league. We used to play Capture the Flag. We run a Quake league back in the day. And my buddy, we were back when I lived in Austin before I came to Colorado. It tells you how long ago that was. And my buddies would literally bring their PCs over to the house, and they'd be set up all around the house. And we'd have 8 folks with PCs all around the house on a local area network playing a Capture Fly Quake. So you combine my technology background with my love for gaming, with my passion for golf. And and I've always had, by the way, I think this is really funny. I have had various golf sims in one form or another over the years. Like I think back when I was probably maybe just out of high school, I bought this. It was a golf shaft. It had a grip on it, and it had a shaft about 3 feet long. And on the bottom of it was this little plastic thing. It kind of looked like an oval, and it had a light on it. And then on the ground, you had a plastic thing that had some light receptors on it. There was one on the outside, middle, and back. And so you would swing and the light would be captured by the receptor, and you plugged it into the TV and it would be a
Yeah.
golf sim, right?
Nice.
So this is back in the day. So I've been playing golf sims. So fast forward to COVID, and when right before, or right, I guess it was maybe during, when all the golf courses kind of closed down, my buddy, who our daughters play together, they played together for years and they competed against each other. And he's one of my best friends. He actually is the guy that I built Valley Country Club for. It's he and his daughter kind of walking on the sidewalk.
Okay.
He's like, hey, dude, I'm look what I just did. And he bought like a sim in a box kind of thing. He got a Sky Track, and he got I guess it was a Carl's enclosure with the sidewalls and everything. And he stuck it into a room in his house. I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome. So I
Yeah.
started looking at it and piecemealed it together. And that's kind of how I got into it. And we were all in on E6. And when my E6 subscription ran out, I didn't think that the cost of what you got in E6 for the cost of it, before I was going to write them another big check, I wanted to make sure there wasn't something better on the horizon. And that's where I learned about GS Pro. And I mean, at the time, I think there was only like 110 courses or so. And so I bought the 250 a year, and I popped it in, and I already had a gaming PC because I've been doing all this gaming, and I moved my gaming PC down to the sim where I set it up, and fired up GS Pro, and within about 32 seconds I was hooked.
Yeah.
And so then of course the next thing was, well, yeah, but man, the courses in here suck. And
Yeah.
this is back in the day, right? This is back
Yeah.
when there was fewer, maybe right at 100 or fewer than 100. Some were really, really good, but the vast majority were, meh, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, so I want to build a course. And then I learned about the OPCD and all that kind of stuff. And then I was like, well, listen, I'm going to build my home course. I think everybody kind of starts that same way. I want to build my home course because I want to practice in the wintertime in Colorado and play my home course. So I started with Common Ground. It sucks. If you're watching this and you're new and you haven't downloaded, you can feel free to download and play it. It's a fun course. It's a shitty course on GS Pro. I need to redo it. It was my first course, mea culpa. I ask for apologies. My second course, Arrowhead, is not much better. So it's a fun course to play, but it sucks. It needs to get redone. But yeah, that's kind of how I started, and I went from there, and I got hooked, and I loved it. And I feel very lucky that I work from home. I've worked from home my whole career. So I have the ability, I have lots of conference calls. I have lots and lots and lots and lots. Sometimes I'll go 8 hours a day with conference calls back to back to back. but I don't have to always be leading those
Engage.
calls.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I a lot of times can be splining a course in the background while the call is going on, that I can take the bits I need out of it. And I can always pause, you know. So I feel lucky that I have the ability to kind of do some multitasking in the background. So that's kind of how I know, long answer, sorry, but that's kind of how I
Good.
got to it.
How many courses do you have now? Like 12, 15?
20,
Oh,
no,
wow.
29,
Oh, wow.
29. Valley might make 30.
Which, by the way,
Um,
I was on a business trip, so that's due on my flyover. I gotta go fire
yeah,
up
that's
the.
completely unacceptable. I expect my flyovers to be done well in advance.
Well, I got some new monitors and a new beanbag, and I had to get all that set up this week. So
Listen, you need to get out of your mom's basement
I know,
and,
right?
get a bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate the work you do and the flyovers you do. It's important. I will tell you, and again, I'll bring my channel, my inner B2B. Um, I would love, and maybe this is in the works, but I would love to see GS Pro take better use of the flyover videos that you're doing in the game itself. I want to
Yeah.
go to the tile view and I want to hover my mouse over, and in that tile view, I then get the preview of a hole. And then maybe
Yeah.
it's not the entire video, maybe it's one hole or something, but I think that they are, hopefully it's on the radar, but I also think they're missing an opportunity to make a really premium user experience with your flyover videos.
I agree. Hold on one second here. We got a technical
Uh-oh.
issue. The robot vacuum is about to come into my office. So
Who is that?
the robot vacuum.
Oh, nice. Your Roomba.
uh
Are they your new
uh
sponsor? You got Roomba as a new sponsor for your Meet the Designer show?
yeah, right. I don't know, I can't get it here. But yeah, so I agree. Yeah, I have a Foresight launch monitor, so I'll occasionally, play matches over there on FSX Play, and in
Yep.
game you can hit preview and it's
Yep.
right there, and it's like, yeah, that's pretty cool, right? So
Yeah.
we're we're
I think the good news for GS Pro is the work's already done. Like the work on the flyover videos is already done, right?
yeah,
And they have to do the work on the coding side to make it work. And they can even specify use the video, but I'm only going to show 10 seconds, right? And you'll get
yeah,
the first teak,
yeah,
But I think that's great. So thanks for the work you do. Appreciate it.
yeah. So your favorite course that I've played or stumbled on when I got GS Pro, it's been over a year because I just got the "you're going to get charged again" email, and is Austin Country Club or whatever we're
Oh yeah,
allowed
you
to
like the
call it.
Austin Country? Yeah, okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so when I first joined GS Pro, it was like, I want to play the match play event, the Dell match play, and
Uh-huh.
it wasn't out there. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
what the hell are we missing this for? And then you drop it, and I was like, hallelujah. So that's definitely a star in my list
Thank
of
you. I did that in 2
events.
weeks.
Really?
Yeah, no one had signed up to do it, and I reached out to Cook, and I'm like, do you want, I don't know if I can do it in 2 weeks, but I see it's not in GS Pro. And I think the reason no one wanted to do it, or no one was doing it, was because it was the last year for Dell, the
Yeah.
WGA, to have that there, right? For me, that course holds a special place. I'm actually from Austin. I grew up there, went to school there, did everything. My in-laws are there, my brother's there, my niece and nephew, all that stuff. And I accidentally, Austin Country Club superintendents, please do not listen to this, but I accidentally, when I was 16, ended up driving my car on the fairway of one of the holes down by the lake, with my best friend at the time. We had both just gotten our license. Our birthdays are 2 weeks apart, so we had both just gotten our licenses, and we have been driving for about a hot minute. And it was midnight, and we were exploring parts of Austin, because that's what you do when you're 16 and you got a license. You're
Yeah.
just driving around at midnight. And I think we lied to our parents, and we told each other's parents. Like, I told my mom I'm going to his house, and his name is Jason, ironically, as well. And he told his mom he's going to my house. And so we were free, and, we're out driving around at midnight, 1 a.m. And we were like, let's go down and see Austin Country Club. So we drove down there, which wasn't too far from where we lived growing up. And so we drove down there, and we got to a stop sign, and he was like, do I go straight or do I go left? I'm like, go left. So he took a left, and we drove down there. And after about a few minutes, we're like, why is there nothing around us? Well, that stop sign was crossing for cart path. And we had
Oh.
turned onto the cart path, and we had driven his little Nissan Sentra. It was like a 1986 Nissan Sentra, and we had driven it down onto like the 15th. We were on the fairway. We were on the cart path, but we
Right.
were on the cart path, and we were like, I think we need to get out. It's a much,
Yeah.
now they pull
That,
out the SWAT team to get you off the golf course, but back then
yeah,
it
it's a
was
good story.
innocent kids.
Yeah, even though Dell's gone, like you just know that course when you get out there along
Yeah.
the river and stuff. So
The bridge is iconic. The Loop 360 bridge there is iconic, because that's why I wanted to do it. It has a lot of memories for me.
yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
So any words of wisdom for current or new designers since you've got say 30 courses out?
Well, I for current designers, no. I mean, just keep getting better. I this is gonna sound really weird. I don't believe I'm a very good designer. I think I've gotten lucky and I've picked some good courses and people like them, which is great. That's all. As long as they're enjoying them, they're doing good. I look at the work that the guys that I think are really top designers do and they put out, and I'm like, man, I don't hold a candle to the work that they do. So I mean, that's just my own personal feeling. And it's one of the reasons I actually don't even, when we do B2B, I don't even I don't look or review my own course. I honestly don't. Maston, I don't sit down and look at my course. I literally am completely recuse myself from all things related because I don't like to critique. I mean, I like to critique it and say, because it's never good enough, right? I always look at my own stuff and I'm like, wow, that didn't turn out well. Let me go redo it or play with it. So I
think for your next show or your next design, you should let him tear it apart.
Well, he didn't give Valley an MPOW, and I was kind of like, well, I kind of agree, but at the same point, we've given some MPOWs that were not as good as Valley. But no, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But I think for new designers, for me, the most frustrating thing of getting going wasn't understanding I mean, I think the process is laid out really, really well. Going from, I mean, I actually would back up the process to even earlier and say, pick a course you love. It doesn't matter if it's a crap local muni course. As long as you love it and you got a connection to that course, you will do better work. So I think it was, for me, was start even earlier in the process for someone new. And I think that the order makes sense. Download the LiDAR and then turn blah, 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 blah. I think where we don't spend enough time on, and what frustrates new designers more than anything, is learning how to use the tools. Okay. Because navigating Cloud Compare is uniquely different from navigating QGIS, and the controls in QGIS are uniquely different from Blender. And Blender is a whole different animal on mostly all keyboard shortcuts, where Unity you can do most with mouse. You know what I mean? So I think I found myself, like, I'm a tech guy, I'm a gamer, I'm all that kind of stuff, and I found myself having to Google, like, how to navigate in Blender, or how do I do this in Cloud Compare? And so stick with it is my thing. Stick with the tools. You'll learn once you get the pattern down and the process down. You'll learn the tools. And then I think. Yeah.
I was gonna say that's where, like, these new guys coming on the scene, I think they've got all that down, right? They just need to learn the process, because they're putting out things that are like blowing our minds. Oh, right.
I think some of the new guys, and I was talking to guys who are getting started, right? I think guys, new designers who have got courses out, I think there's some of the best work we've seen come out from a first-time designer than we've seen in a long time. And I think that's a direct relation to the tools. I think the V4 tools are while a little more complex to understand, when you understand them, the end result is way better.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed.
So commercial for B2B.
Yeah.
So first of all, how did you and Masta become buddies? And then what made you guys decide to do a show?
Well, I think, and I'm not trying to say, I don't want to make this sound like, there is a pretty close-knit group of folks that have been doing this for a while. It doesn't mean it doesn't expand as new people come in and grow, but there was like Run Pud Run and Pac-Man and Tech Bud and myself, and and Masta and Rusty Dave, and I mean, there's others too. There's probably 10 or 15 designers that we kind of started around the same time or similar times that we started, and we kind of came up through the V3 tools. And then we did a lot of testing on the V4 tools. There was a subset of us that got them early to start working on them, define and break things versus just going broad. So we kind of like have all become, I think, relatively close, like as close as you can online. You know what I mean? Like if Tech Bud was in town, or if Run Putter Run was in town and said, hey, can you meet me for a beer? Like I would drop everything and go meet him for a beer, you know, barring like leaving my kid at school.
Yeah.
And so Masta was in one of those. Funny thing is, I actually think he hated me at one point in time. I thought, because he can be a little, and I don't, again, great personality difference. He could be a little direct at times. He could be a little like, this is like, you know, and I thought like there was an interaction that we had early in the days, and I was like, oh, this guy doesn't like me very much. But it had nothing to do with that.
So what you're saying, me and him are going to have a show in a year from now?
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, you got to talk to him about when you're getting a show, but with him, but.
I'm joking with the personalities, right? We take nice cheap shots at each other. It's fun.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you guys have a great. I do. You guys have a nice. I do. I like that too. It's a lot of fun. But we I can't remember how it came about, but there was a chat going on with a bunch of us in it. I think it might have been an early beta chat on Discord with just a small group of folks that were going through the beta tools, right? And so I think I had mentioned it, like just a generic kind of like, I think we were just throwing out crazy ideas of stuff like what do we, how do we build community and drive stuff? And it wasn't an intentional conversation. It was just kind of like, hey, you know, how do we build more community? I guess, I don't know. And I think I had thrown it out and said, hey, I think it'd be great if there was like a weekly kind of course review for designers from a designer perspective, to help one to give people that are playing courses kind of like, hey, this week here are the courses you want to play, and give designers like feedback to be like, hey, here's your course, but like these things didn't work great. You should think about changing these, right? And here's some ways to that, and not just critique, not be like, hey, this sucks, which that to me, that's easy to do. It's easy to go be an ass and say, hey, this thing sucks. And, you know, I don't want to be that guy. I want to be that guy and said, hey, that doesn't look great. Have you thought about doing it this way? You know, but we also,
and billboards have improved, right? I mean, that was the biggest thing. And early, like if you go back to your guys' season one, early is billboards. Now you don't hear a lot about it. And so hopefully, you know, that's because people are listening and they're like, hey, we've got to focus on this. So
yeah, I hope so. I mean, that was our goal was not to literally go and say, hey, you suck as a designer, your course sucks, you know, don't play this course. It was more like, you know, hey, that's like, here's some critique, here's some ways you could do it differently. If you do an update, you may want to consider this. And I wanted to do it kind of in the vein of the Between Two Ferns. Now I know I'm a big fan of Galifianakis, and I think that that's a much snarkier show, right? The actual Between Two Ferns is much, and I'm not an overly, I can be snarky, but I'm not an overly snarky guy. So I wanted to do it kind of in that vein, but do it more goofy and have fun and that kind of stuff. And so I thrown kind of like the idea of it out there. It was nothing more than an idea. It was like a one sentence. I spent 10 minutes explaining it. And I think Master replied back and was like, hey, I've been thinking about doing this as well. Do you want to pair up? And I'm like, let's pair up. And so like, that's where it went. That's how it came about. It was literally a 5-minute Discord chat. And then we picked the time and we got together. And to be fair, I don't think he and I had ever spoken on Discord before the first show. I mean, we did prepping for it, right? But I don't think we ever spoke over voice or video pre getting ready for the first B2B ever. And I gotta tell you, he over the last year, he has become probably one of my best friends, even though we've never met in person. Like we talk all the time, not even just about B2B. We chat on Discord. We went to the liquor store and we're calling our cell phones and talking about what bourbon we want to buy for the last episode and stuff. And like he's a great guy. And I think we've developed a really fun chemistry over the last year.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's awesome. So switching gears a little bit on
Yeah.
you, what's your real life handicap?
Depends on the day of the week. I am Jin currently has me as a 7.8
Okay.
as my real world handicap. I played on Saturday and put in a 78 on from my Saturday round, which was really nice. And then I played yesterday at a different course. It's a course they want me to build. Some friends want me to build for them for GSPro, but there's no update. They redid their greens and all the greenside bunkers on like 9 holes last year, and there's no LiDAR for it.
Okay.
Um, and I walked away with a 90. I played like absolute dog shit. Couldn't get off. I chipped and putted really, really well. My approach shots were pretty good. My God, I couldn't get off the tee. My life fucking depended on it. It sucked.
So is that the worst part of your game, driver?
No, no,
No.
I am normally really just consistent. I'm normally like I'm a boring golfer most of the time. I'm usually 240, 250 off the tee, somewhere in the fairway. I'm usually on or around the green in two, and I'm usually chipping or putting. You know what I mean? Like I I I normally round maybe one or two three putts around, sometimes
Okay.
none, so I'm normally a pretty boring golfer. Um, I've been doing some work with Shane. I've had a long time swing coach that I've used for, I mean, literally 5 or 6 years now. I felt like I was plateauing with the work she was doing.
Okay.
And so I went and had a look with Shane, with Shanky, just for a second set of eyes. He gave me a few additional things to go work on that I'm trying to incorporate in that I didn't get from my other swing instructor.
Okay.
And that has been like, I think my issue yesterday was trying to take what Shanky's had me work with and ingrain it in. I find it hard to make swing changes when I've been so grooved in on what I've been doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to break that habit, but well, you and I sound like similar golfers. Same, pretty close handicap. I'm
Yeah.
super boring, middle of the green, two putt, get pars. Occasionally drop one for a birdie and
Yep.
go under 80, right? But
Yep. My normal
um,
round is 78 to 81. I'm pretty freaking consistent,
same.
78 to 81 most of the time. Yep. My daughter's
Yeah.
a 4 handicap, and she
Okay.
she beat me this summer for the first time, and I've never beat her since. So she's smoking all of us.
Nice. Yeah,
Yep.
that's great. That's great. What sticks are you playing?
P790s on my irons. From TaylorMade, got those all set up, and with Oban shafts. I have a custom club fitter here in town that I use. I go every year, and he does just a fit. I have a lifetime fitting with him that
Okay.
I got years ago, and so I go in every spring, just do a fitting. He'll say things are good, or he'll tweak. So this past year, I ended up moving to a stiffer and heavier Oban shaft for my irons. I added the P790s and some brand new Jaws Raw for my wedges.
Okay.
And then I'm still Callaway Maverick on my driver and my woods, my driver 3 wood and my hybrids. But we moved the driver shaft again to a heavier, stiffer. Um, which one is that? I have to look and see. It's a Fuka. I can't pronounce the name. The
Okay.
Japanese Fukushima, I think it is, and it's a black stiff
Okay.
plus. So, yep, that's what I'm playing for now. I'm doing a driver fitting. I think I'll go down in November. I want to get some more of the swing work worked out and get a little more consistent with the changes that Shanky's given me to do. And then I'll go down and do a driver fitting with him probably in November, December, and see if I want to make changes.
Yeah, I've noticed like the shaft is the biggest thing that I've
Yeah,
tinkered with. I've got a
yeah,
buddy who's a club builder, and so we, sit in his basement on the sim, and he's got wholesale accounts to every shaft company out there, and we just tinker, right? So,
yeah. I
if you
think
haven't tried like the Ventus Black or
yep.
Ventus Blue, like super solid shafts, you're gonna, they're expensive, but solid shafts, and I think that's the key.
Yeah, I don't I really kind of envy and stare in awe at some of the guys on the SGT Discord. Um um And because of the way they are able to look at equipment and bring stuff in and try it and fit it and get rid of it and do all that. And so I don't have the knowledge. There's too much stuff out there, and
Yeah.
I have a club fitter to do that for me. So I will tell you, if someone is new to golf or someone is a higher handicap, the best thing you can do is go to a good trusted club fitter and get clubs that are fit for
Yeah.
your swing. And as your swing changes and improves, keep getting fit.
Yeah.
I think it's the best improvement at any, and you're not going to pay that much more for, I mean, clubs, like just to get them
No,
professionally fit.
a lot of them do basic fittings for free, at least in
Yep.
Michigan. But I mean, it's a
Yep.
big difference. I've got the right shafts, and I play the old AP2s. I just can't get rid of them.
They're good. That's a good set. The AP2s are good though.
And I was on a business trip last week and rented some clubs, and they were like regular shaft and like a senior
Yep.
shaft driver.
Yep.
Like that's all they had at this crap resort. And then like
I would.
I couldn't hit anything. It was crazy how big of a difference it makes.
Yeah, no, it's nuts. I went out to I had a buddy that flew into town, and we went out and played Fossil Trace, which is on gspro. And we got to the course, and I go to warm up on their range, and I look in my bag, and my putter and driver are still at home in my sim. And so I'm like, how the hell am I going to play this course with no putter and no driver? And so, and 3-wood, by the way, those 3. So I went up to the clubhouse and they gave me a putter and a driver. And my God, it was a regular flex driver. It was light. It was like, I felt
Yeah.
like when I was swinging it, it was whipping around me a couple of times. And I'm,
Yep.
so, and it was, yeah, I agree. So I think club fitting is super important for everybody, but especially folks that are just starting out or new higher handicappers. And mid handicappers like myself and yourself, it's good to get club fit for what you're doing on. Yep.
Yeah, when you're like us, right? Like that 6 range, like we can take every half of a stroke on our handicap, because moving from a 18 to a 12 is pretty easy, right? If you
Yep.
got some coaching and some practice.
Yep.
But when you start getting into like 5 range, like it
Yep.
doesn't move from 5 to 4.
Yeah.
It's
Five
tenths of
three
a
was
percent.
my 5.3 was my low this summer. I'm back up a little bit. And yeah, when you're down, when you're there, when you're in the 5s, I find it's how close are my approach shots? Not just are they
Yeah.
on the green, it's are they
Yeah.
on the green and giving me a birdie chance, right? How close are my chip shots? Am I putting a chip shot to where I've got to tap in, or is my chip shot, because now I'm scrambling, gonna be a 20-foot putt for par? And there it's a lot of work I feel like improving on those types of shots, it's a lot of work to get a little bit of result.
Yeah, we're in like the worst handicap range, right? Like we're not good enough to play straight up, and
Yep.
we're too good to play guys that are 12s because they're getting so many blows on us, right? It's just like being a 6 sucks.
Yeah, I mean, we played with a guy. I played with a guy that, like, my God, I think he got 18 strokes. And I get it, handicap thing makes everybody equal, 18 strokes, I'm like that. But I got, like, there's only, I don't know what it was anyway. So
Yeah,
I
we're
feel
in a
it's
tough
hard.
range. Yeah,
Yep.
we're in a tough range. So,
Yep.
um, so a couple rapid questions, and then
Yeah.
we'll let you get back to your other conference calls.
Yeah.
Um,
Thanks.
music of choice. What do you listen to on Apple or Spotify or whatever your choice is?
Everything. Spotify is my service of choice, and I'm a fan. I'm a fan of everything. There is really nothing that I don't listen to.
Okay.
But I will tell you, my go-to for I'm at the range is Daft Punk.
Okay.
I've always got some Daft Punk, at least in my
Nice.
playlist, and that's my go-to. I'll start there, and then wherever Spotify takes me, I'm generally okay with it. I guess I'm not a huge, like, pop fan. Like, there are some
Okay.
pop songs I'm okay with, but I'm not putting on, like, pop music and listening to that all day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess if I had to choose a veer, it's more EDM, but I love hard rock, I love metal, I love it all.
Nice. Nice.
Yep.
Any particular show, like go-to show, favorite show streaming?
I Not any one show. I go sci-fi. I
Okay.
always have. You
Okay.
name it, Foundation, Invasion, Hell, all the Star Trek Discovery and Strange New Worlds, and I stream them all. There isn't for me, Star Wars and Star Trek are equal. I like them both. I watch
Okay.
every new show for all of them that come out.
Awesome. Well, we're running out of time here, so one, appreciate you coming on again.
Yeah.
Hopefully we captured the video. I'm still staring at me drinking some water and your hands in the air with your eyes closed. But if not, we'll have just the audio, hopefully. And appreciate you coming on, telling us a little bit about you. And as always, Meet the Designer drops every Sunday, 8 a.m. Don't forget to check out the new show, Two Bros, One Cup, where the great man Genie and I will pick a course that we enjoy playing. Could be new, could be old, and scramble. And
one time was fine. Any more than that, then we'll have our lawyers come after you. So you're done.
Yeah. Completely different show, Mashie. Completely different. It's our forum to get digs back on you two when you're digging on us. So we're gonna have a friendly competition. And you're a sales guy like me, right? So it keeps everybody engaged to tune into our shows. And my show is going to be on, well, Meet the Designers on Sundays. So hopefully you release on Saturdays, and then Two Bros, One Cup will come out during the week sometime. So
Yeah.
everybody's going to have to listen in so they can keep up on the banter back and forth.
Love it. Sounds like fun.
So, all right, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching Meet the Designer on Eagles and Birdies. We'll see you next time.
See everybody. Thank you.